And lastly, you want to set monthly, quarterly, and annual financial goals and hold yourself accountable. It does you no good to go through this financial healing if you don't, or you can't go through the financial healing if you don't hold yourself accountable. You only have to answer to yourself. You haven't really lost anything if you haven't lost your dignity. And throughout this process, a lot of individuals, when they do go through the foreclosure process, they feel as though they have lost their dignity, and we're here to tell you that you haven't lost that. So you do want to keep that in mind.
And Shane, that was a perfect segue of what you were saying there at the end of the last slide, of your people being able to emerge with this with their dignity, and that really goes to the emotional healing part. We want to always talk about the individual, because we cannot separate the individual from the process. We can't separate that these are actually people that have been affected by what's going on. We hear raw numbers and hear statistics, and we see stories on the news of foreclosures and people losing their homes, and we can't ignore the human element of this. And there's a trap that a lot of us fall into, and the trap is that we get emotionally attached to property. And it's hard not to, because that's, as you see it, you see that as your home. And if you've attended any of our seminars or our webinars, you have heard us say over and over again that a house is not a home. A house is sticks and bricks. A home is what you make it. So the next place that you go will be home. It's not just a simple transaction of this is the only place that's home, and I'm losing it.
Yeah, and speaking of losing, if you attended any of our previous webinars, I think the one on Monday, Tuesday, Access to Ownership, when you talk about losing something, and when you lose a home, it is an emotional experience, but let's focus on the reality. It is a material possession. You lost a material possession. You've lost a thing. And if you lose a material possession or you lose a thing, you can get a thing or any material possession back. If you lose an individual, it's kind of hard to get them to come back. So keep that in mind.
Exactly. It's you get emotionally attached, and we're not saying that there isn't going to be some emotion involved, but you kind of have to get over it, because once it's done, it's done. So not to be cold about it, but that emotional attachment to that property, it's easier to move on if you have a plan going forward. And one of the easiest ways to move on is to embrace the reality of what just happened and accept it as a fact. Hey, this happened. It's over and done with. It's not something that you have to be a shrinking violet about. You don't have to hide from it. You don't have to necessarily be embarrassed about it. You probably don't want to go out and get a bumper sticker that says, I just got foreclosed on. But at the same time, it's a reality. And you can't hide from reality, because when you hide from reality and you try to sweep it under the rug and act like it didn't happen, all that is going to do is just prolong the agony. That's all it's going to do. So by accepting the reality of the situation, accepting it as fact, and saying, okay, this is what happened and I'm moving on, that is going to help you with that emotional healing so much more than wallowing in self-pity.